Good day. In this video, I'd like to explain how the velocity chart works. We're all familiar with the velocity chart and where it is, and to get to the velocity chart, it's in the detailed analysis under the tab velocity chart. And this is what it looks like, which you're familiar with. Just to review what the elements of the velocity chart are. On the vertical axis here, we have the probability of winning. And on the horizontal axis, we have the update date, when the chart was updated. You'll notice that there's 4 lines on the velocity chart. The top green one, which is the high value of the probability of winning. Okay? That's that line, and it's there. The middle line, the blue line, is the score. And the bottom line is the low. So those are the 3 lines. In addition to that, there's this line right here, which is the close date. And, obviously that moves back and forth. And the objective is to have these 3 lines converge on or before the close date. Or if they don't converge up in this direction, then they should converge in this direction downward, in which case you're going to lose the deal, so get out as quickly as possible. Now, in the interests of simplifying the explanation of how the velocity chart works, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an Excel spreadsheet to demonstrate how the chart works. So what you see here is a couple of entries, and we have the low, score, and high colored like that. But for this example, I've added an additional column which is called DOQ. And what I want to do is I want to show you how the changes in the velocity chart, in terms of how those 3 lines converge, changes the degree of qualification. So we start off, as we always start off, with the Oculus baseline analysis. And if you're not completely familiar with the baseline analysis, I encourage you to review the video that explains it. So the high value is right here, 45%, and the score and the low are at 0. You can't see them. There's the close date. So what I've done is I've created the formulations for all of these things beneath this. So I'm just going to pull this down, and you can see how it evolves. So this is very typical. We see some movement. The high value's gone up a little bit. The score is moved, and we're starting to see the low value. We don't see anything in terms of the DOQ, which represents the degree of qualification. But as we continue, there it is right there. You can now see it. This is the degree of qualification, 13%. And you can see that the lines are, the blue line is trending upward. So this is so far so good. And the lines are actually starting to converge. So we'll keep going. I'll just do a couple here. And as you see, again, it's moving forward. Each of these break points, or these little joints here, that would represent an update, one of these right here. And we just continue with it until it reaches the 3 lines converge. And this is very, very typical of a winning deal. All 3 lines move towards the 100% mark, and they converge as they go along. As they converge, the degree of qualification increases until we hit the goal line. And that's what a winning deal looks like, and that's how the chart works. So let's look at another deal. Let's look at a stall deal. Again, same chart here, and we'll just continue. And typically, as you can imagine, we start off the same. The lines are converging. The degree of qualification is starting to increase. We're seeing progress on all levels. And just as before, but then you'll notice we're starting, believe it or not, you can just start to see this flatten, this top line here, okay? You can see we're not continuing with that same upward slope, we're starting to see some flattening. It's very subtle, but it's very typical. And you see right here is this is not the difference between the score and the low value. It's not, they're not converging. So, and then it'll flatten out like this. And this is very typical of a stalled deal. Now, obviously our next step is to figure out why it's stalled and if it's still going to happen. A canceled deal looks like this as well. So in the third one I want to look at here today is what's a losing deal look like? And we all have to put up with losing deals, so it's part of life in sales. Again, we start off the same way. We're moving forward, and not dissimilar to, I'll just close that off, not dissimilar to a stalled deal. It hits a point where the trajectory of these lines slows down, and the trajectory up towards 100%, and it slows down. So, you know, what's going on here? And as you continue with this, you'll find that the degree of qualification is actually continuing to increase, but we flattened out here, and now we're starting to go south. So this is a losing deal, and you know, the degree of qualification is continuing to increase, and all that means is, you know, you've got more accurate information about the deal, and none of it is going to improve your case. So this is an example of a reasonably well qualified deal that you're going to lose. Probably should have tried to recognize that it was going south in this area, because all this effort to move it from this point to this point is a waste of time. You're just confirming that the deal is lost. So thank you. I hope that explained how the velocity chart works and helped understand it.